He gets a POD onto the system. They scribble their name on the system. The POD is transferred back to the system to say you've received it in good order. And it's also sent to the supplier, the people who had sent the product out in the first place, right? Which it has been in your store. They know exactly, they can follow and track that pallet. It's on the shelf, it's off the shelf, it's at the goods outwards. As your system in-house does, it also, the supplier of the goods, the owner of the goods, can also see it being tracked. That's how far advanced technology is now in regards to warehousing. The old system, of course, is a manifest sheet. It'll tell you, you go to bay 3, level 5, that type of thing. And you just follow it as per manifest. You tick it off and you pick it up and bring it to the goods outwards. That's what we talk about when we say controlling operations, the operation of the vehicle, and the actual systems that are in place. Now, again, don't be concerned about the systems because you'll be trained up on how the systems work. It's the same with goods coming in off a trailer, goods inwards. You'll stick a barcode, or a barcode will be stuck onto it, or the barcode could actually, be initiated back when the goods are being put together at the people who are sending the goods into the warehouse. Right? I dealt with a company in Dundalk. They bought stuff in from China and from Asia, different parts of the world, but they provided the supplier with a barcode for each item. So that barcode had to be printed on the carton, on the box. So every time that came into the warehouse, the reader would read it and it would tell you where exactly that is to be placed in the warehouse. And then again, the system will tell you to go to lane 3. We say where you took the other pallet off, lane 3, fifth, what do you call it? The third bay, the 5th level up, put the pallet in there. And again, when you put it in there, it registers where the pallet is and it tells the system where it's being loaded. Now, if you've gone to the wrong place, it will notify you as an audible warning to say wrong entry, right? And it'll tell you to take it out and you'll be told to go to the right entry. It'll tell you where the right entry is. So who's that? Somebody else joining there now. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Already, you've changed your name.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. So as long as no, it's okay. As long as we know who's on. Okay. So that's the type of technology that's involved in warehousing. Okay. Operations monitoring then. Operations monitoring is basically watching the gauges on your forklift, watching the dials on your forklift, and other indicators, to make sure that the machine is working properly. Now, can anyone tell me the first thing you do when you approach the machine you're going to work today? Have a guess? Mark, I think Mark was coming in there. You're muted, Mark.
Sorry, yeah. Oh, shit.
All right, you're okay.
Check if the tires are all right. It turns on all right.
Yeah, okay. That's what we call a daily walk around check, right? A daily walk around check. It's all you're doing is conducting a visual inspection of the vehicle to make sure it's safe to operate. And it's a tick the box exercise as such, because you'll have a check sheet. And as you check the item on the check sheet, everything is okay. If you notice a defect, you must inform the warehouse manager, right? That there's a defect in the machine. If it's a safety critical defect, well, then you don't move that machine until that safety critical issue is actually repaired or fixed up. All right. So that will be the first thing you do, is a walk around check. All right. But then as you're operating the machine, you will be monitoring all your different gauges. Anything to make sure that the machine is working properly, you check as you're operating it throughout the day. All right. Coordination again is adjusting your actions in relation to others' actions, right? And what we mean by that is, you have to adjust what you're doing to suit what other people are doing. So, if there's people in the aisle with a hand pallet truck pulling a pallet out, well, obviously you don't drive into that aisle. All right. So you're coordinating with other people, your actions in relation to their actions. Equipment maintenance basically is, doing that walk around check. It's performing a routine maintenance, a visual inspection on your equipment and determining again, if there's an issue with it, what kind of maintenance is needed, right? Is it safety critical or is it something, you get your day's work out of and you're bringing in at 4 o'clock to get it repaired? Okay, or maintained. That's equipment maintenance as such. And then time management. Time management is basically managing your own time. And again, the time of others. You manage your own time with regards to what you have to do on the day. Normally it's managed for you, but you have a set time, to collect an item and get it back to goods outwards, or get it from goods inwards and put it into the racking system. Okay. Obviously you can't be doodling around the warehouse on the forklift looking to have a chit chat with somebody else or be on your phone. Everything is managed. Every minute of your day is managed. All right. The requirements by different employers, it varies for different operators, forklift operators. But there are several trademarks of successful forklift operators. And again, those trademarks, they can vary depending on where you're actually working and where you're operating. But the normal trademarks would be, commitment to operating safely and also, being productive in the work environment, or an ability to complete tasks independently, or as part of a team. So having that ability of working independently or working as a team is also very important in any employment. Attention to detail. Attention to detail is very important too. Okay. Like successful forklift drivers, you have to have a dedication to your work. You've got to strive to constantly improve and do your part to make the job safe or the job site a safer working place and a great place to work as well. All right. So that's really what you've got to think about when you go into the industry, right? Again, the most common work activities, there's plenty of work on your plate. You've lots of work. In any given work day, you may complete, things such as unload materials and merchandise, hauling goods around the warehouse is among obviously the most important duties of a lift truck operator, a forklift operator, sorry. And that in itself, it takes patience, it takes practice, and it takes plenty of experience to master the fundamentals. Okay. Locating and moving stock or products. Again, product pickers. They're in charge of finding the items ordered by a particular customer and then loading them up for shipping. Okay. So you could be on a forklift and you'll be given a picking order, which again would be on your tablet or it would be handwritten or typed out. So you've got to go and find the goods and then stack them, either pack them or stack them in the loading bay, ready for shipping. Another task, as I spoke earlier about, is daily inspections. Your daily inspections as a visual inspection of your machine to help prevent accidents and ensure the equipment is, regularly maintained. Tracking inventory, and finding where the inventory is. Again, if it's a shift operated warehouse where you've different shifts, you have 2 or 3 shifts. There could be 3 8-hour shifts. There could be just 2 8-hour shifts. But you could be relieving another colleague, taking over where they left off, right? So activity logs and infantry tracking helps keep everyone basically on the same page. You must comply with all occupational safety health awareness, right? You must comply with the regulations at every work site at all times, right? Failure to do that can lead to forklift accidents or incidents. It can also cost the forklift operator their job and cause their employer to receive fairly heavy penalties from the HSA. Like the HSA inspectors can walk into any premises and inspect the premises for safety. And that includes inspecting your machines, inspecting your ability to manage that machine safely. So this is quite a bit with regards to inventory and activity logs and working safely. Operating vehicles, mechanized devices or equipment. Again, running, maneuvering, navigating, or driving vehicles, right? Such as forklifts. You have to do it all with safety in mind. Inspecting the equipment, the structures or material. Inspecting equipment, structures, to identify, any causations of errors or other problems or defects. It's one of the most important jobs you'll do is inspecting your equipment first thing in the morning. Again, handling and moving objects, again, using your manual handling. Hands, arms, and handling, installing or positioning goods or moving, goods, and again, manipulating things to suit the requirements of your job. The other thing is identifying objects, actions, and events. Again, identifying information by categorizing, estimating, and recognizing the difference or similarities in detecting changes in, operations in the warehouse. And again, this is all about using your own initiative. It all comes in under activities around operating as a forklift driver. And then, performing general physical activities. Well, that's where, you're using your body, the whole of your body, for lifting, for walking, for stooping, for handling materials, handling boxes, manually handling them. And again, the 8 basic principles of manual handling comes into play. It has to come into play. And don't be worried if you haven't done manual handling or if you don't have a manual handling cert. Again, every company is obliged under law or by law and legislation to ensure that you are provided with manual handling training, right? That's specific to the job you are doing. I could take you through a manual handling course now online, and I could, come up to where you are, and I could get you to, prove that you've done manual handling by moving a box. That's not specific to your job. Getting on and off a forklift is a proper way to do it. Standing, moving a pallet, with a pallet hand truck or with a power pallet truck. Not everybody could do it, but in order to do it, you must be trained. So all training has to be, suitable and specific to the type of job you're doing. Making decisions. Yeah, making decisions and solving problems. Again, analyzing the information that's provided to you, evaluating the results, and you choosing the best solution in order to solve any issues. Organizing, planning, and prioritizing work. Again, developing specific goals and plans to prioritize organize, and accomplish the work that you were given to do. You know, you'll have your day set out by your planner, right? The warehouse planner. And that then is given to you, and you must, you know, organize and plan how you're going to carry out those duties. They may have prioritized some of the work for you, or they might leave it up to you, right? You know, it may state that you have certain vehicles coming in that you have to pull the loads for. So you may have to prioritize the work as to which vehicle is coming in first, or which vehicle has the most urgent product to be delivered. So as a forklift operator, you may have the responsibility for prioritizing what loads you pull first and load first, obviously. It may not happen like that. It may happen that there's 6 trailers on 6 bays, right? And you're working on a particular product that has to go into the 6 trailers along with other product. But you'll have other forklift drivers working on the other products, and you could be just working on one particular product. So you have to plan as to where it's going on the trailer, and then you've got to organize with the other operators as to at what stage do we need to get that particular item onto the trailer. Is it first, is it middle, or is it last into the trailer, depending on the delivery schedule. So that's what I mean by organizing, planning, and prioritizing. Is that okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not making sense, please just let me know, and I'll try and, you know, educate you better or break it down, right? But, you know, keep at it. Just keep with me on this. Getting information. Getting information, really, you know, how do we get information? Well, we observe, right, what's going on, or we receive the information. You know, obtaining information from relevant sources, such as, you know, the warehouse manager or the warehouse supervisor or other forklift operators. You know, you're a small group, you work well together, but you have to work as a team. And they could be providing you with information with regards to what you have to do. Monitoring processes and materials or surroundings. Again, you know, monitoring and reviewing information from the different materials you're handling. You have to think of the environment as well. And you have to detect or assess particular issues that could arise from you moving different products, right? Now, reviewing information from the materials would really relate back to chemicals or hazardous goods, you know, or fragile goods, where there should be, you know, information on the product. If it's chemicals, it should be the MSDS, your materials, your data information. Okay, so if it's that, you've got to know what you're handling. Anything else, you know, it should have information on it. If it's fragile goods, it should have fragile stickers. Please handle with care. So again, you've got to monitor that process and the type of materials you're dealing with. And then surroundings then comes from, you know, where it's been lifted up to where it's been dropped off. Are there any problems or any issues that can develop from you moving that product? Communicating with supervisors, with your peers or subordinates. Excuse me. Again, providing information, you know, to your supervisors or to your co-workers, right? Or even the administration staff in the office, right? And again, you know, it can be verbal, it can be in written form, it can be by email, you know, or verbally in person. There's different ways of communicating. But as a forklift operator, you have to have that skill. You have to be able to communicate. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Let's track on. Yeah, about the job itself. All right. Again, different folks, different strokes, different jobs, much the same. You know, there's different types of jobs out there you could be doing. Obviously, it is a job that's increasingly in demand, right? You know, from warehouses to construction sites to factories to ports, there's no shortage of places in need of skilled, trained, and certified forklift drivers. And by the way, there's nothing typical about a forklift operator, right? In a frozen food distribution warehouse and a rough terrain lift driver on a construction site. Like, those two jobs are about as different as possible. You know, a day in the life of one forklift operator, it's not even in the same ballpark or dockyard as a day in the life of another. But there are some common similarities linked, you know, that link all forklift operators, regardless of where they actually work. Okay. And one of the major similarities is obviously safety first. Right? From regular indoor warehouse settings to inclement outdoor forklift jobs, safety is always the most important thing. You know, and that's why basically, you know, you're doing training courses, right? And all training courses in regards to forklifts are very, very popular with companies right across Europe. You know, you have to become compliant with what is required by the HSA, right? If you operate a forklift in Ireland, you are subject to the occupational safety and health, right? And that's what the HSA is. They establish the safety rules. They conduct accident incident investigations, right? And they have the power to impose major fines and penalties on any person or company that is not compliant with the latest safety standards. Again, you know, it's up to you. You can make it safe, or you could be a messer and mess around and create issues. But it won't be tolerated for very long. Most, you know, forklift operators operate with a common sense. You know, CS comes into everything. Common sense comes into everything, including forklift operations. And whether you operate an outdoor forklift, whether you operate a pallet truck, whether you operate an order picker or an indoor man lift, the same tried and true principles of sound common sense forklift operations are the same. In order to avoid accidents and injuries, forklift operators need the basic skills and knowledge to perform efficiently and, of course, safely. And believe me, it all starts with the basic common sense behind the wheel. You, as an operator, make important contributions to both indoor and outdoor work sites, right? So, you know, let's have a look at how you actually work and the skills, again, that are needed to succeed. At the most fundamental level, forklift truck operators move goods around the industrial space. You know, you operate in a warehouse, you might be in charge of moving, obviously, new inventory coming in into storage area shelving. And load by load, you'll haul products across the building, ensuring that pickers can later find plenty of goods to fulfill orders. Pickers themselves often use forklifts to do their job. You know, and that's just one example of what forklift operators do in any one day. A worker who uses a forklift on a particular site, as in a construction site, you know, they might have a very different day ahead of them than you will have in the warehouse, if that's what you're going into. With regards to the hours and that, you know, what hours do you work? Again, the type of job you go into, it may be a 37-hour week, or it could be a 40-hour week, or a 39-hour week. In some incidents, forklift drivers may only work part-time schedules. You know, you could get a part-time just at a busy season. You know, coming up to Christmas, it'd be very, very busy with forklift operators. Now, not December, but probably, you know, September, October, November, when all the stuff is coming in and then it's being sent out to the shops. And many companies rely on part-time workers to help ease the burden of the increased demands for goods during certain months of the year. So, you know, anything up to 40 hours a week. And again, you know, I've heard people ask, is there overtime? Yeah, there's overtime as well. But remember, you are only permitted by law to work a maximum of 48 hours per week over what we call a reference period. And that reference period is 17 weeks. So when we put all your work week together and add in your holidays, the final total of hours you've worked divided by 17 must not exceed 48 hours. Now, you know, you could work 60 hours one week, 50 hours another week, 40 hours another week. But over the 17-week period, when we multiply your hours, when we add up all your hours and we divide it by 17, it can be no higher than 48 hours on average per week. That's the law. And we have to stick to that law. And companies have been prosecuted for breaking that law. You know, your typical shift will last between 8 and 9 hours with various breaks throughout the shift. And, you know, you could be on shift work. You could be working daytime or nighttime. You know, the last thing you want is to be working this week on days, next week on nights, next week on twilight, next week on days, next week on nights, next week on twilight. Because what that'll do is that'll just throw your circadian rhythm, your biological clock, in other words, into turmoil. You won't know whether you're supposed to be eating, sleeping, or drinking. Like if you can get a job that's either, you know, if you want to do nights, that it's full-time nights or full-time days, or even, you know, a day in twilight. Twilight is like from 4 to 11 at night. You know, even something like that. But have it that it's consistent, that you're not swapping and changing every other week. Because if you are, you will screw up your biological clock. So again, it's just something to watch for. You know, again, the type of challenges you're going to face, you've got to be careful. You've got to be handling heavy machinery. You know, you've got to stay focused for the whole of your workday and not just at certain times. You have to prioritize workplace safety. I keep going back to this word safety because I need to instill it into your brain. You have to work safely, right? Even a single mistake, it can put you and others in danger. You know, you must do your part to contribute to a safe work place. Safety must be a priority if incidents, accidents, or collisions are to be avoided. Right? And thankfully, there's a number of tools and strategies, you know, to employ in the hope of mitigating the most hazardous parts of operating forklifts. And again, depending on a particular role, day-to-day forklift operator duties can vary drastically. It's very, very hard to pigeonhole, you know, the forklift jobs into one size fits all description. It just doesn't happen. And please don't expect it to happen. Every day will be a different day, right? Just remember, your day always starts with a quick, thorough pre-inspection, and it's only visual. You're not expected to get in under the forklift or get in under the chains or check the chains. It's a quick visual, and your company, and it changes for different companies. So your company will give you the check sheet to inspect your vehicle every morning. You know, are there any loose hoses? Are the brakes working as intended? You know, do all the safety accessories, as in the backup for reversing alarms, or your turn signals. Like, do they work? Are they working okay? You know, before you start, there's, you know, already a little bit of work to do. You know, those daily inspections, they're not just recommended. They are mandated by the Health and Safety Authority. And the reason they're mandated is to prevent many of the most common forklift accidents. So a little due diligence goes a long way in minimizing that risk. And that's what's important. If I was to ask 5 different forklift operators what they do on a daily basis, I'm likely to get 5 different answers. Indoor warehousing forklift drivers, right, typically unload trucks, move pallets onto an elevated shelf, and perform other cargo management call it tasks. Most of the day is spent in a climate controlled conditions, right? And there really is no concern about the weather. The one glaring expectation is for refrigerated warehouses. And like some of them facilities are kept well below 0 degrees. So you're going to be required to wear hats, to wear gloves, to wear coats, you know, and other apparel in order to keep you warm. Whereas outdoor forklift drivers, you know, they could be working down the docks or down the port, or they could be working in lumber yards, construction sites. That type of work, you know, it's being done by outdoor forklift drivers is dictated again by the working environment. Construction site forklift drivers may be required to transport material like anywhere within that construction site and over rough terrain. You know, port and docks workers, you know, they might spend some time on ships and other vehicles in order to unload cargo. So, you know, forklift driving, it's got a vast and varied area of operations. It's down to you as to what sector of the industry you go into. With regards to, I suppose, avoiding hazards, you know, through all the activity required to get the job done, forklift operators are required to put safety first at all times behind the wheel. Like for warehouse workers, that means blind spots around corners, pedestrian traffic, poor lighting. Like that's for warehouse operatives. Where if you're on the outdoor operators, you know, for example, a construction site, you have totally different hazards to worry about: the weather, other vehicles, uneven terrain, and lots of other factors. So it all depends on what will you go for. With regards to perks and benefits, like forklift operator descriptions often, you know, they gloss over the perks associated with the job. You know, for your efforts, many of you forklift drivers, you know, could be provided with health insurance, obviously holiday time, and other perks. You know, your holidays, when you go full time, you're entitled to 20 holidays per year. Right, 20 days holidays per year. Not 20 holidays, 20 days holiday per year. And like that's 4 working weeks that you're entitled to. Right? America, you've got 14. Right? So who wants to work in America? You've literally got 4 full weeks holidays, 20 working days holidays, plus your bank holidays. That's 29 days off in a year. That's your entitlement. All right. So, you know, with some companies, you could have 25 plus your 9. they can't take away your statutory bank holidays, but they can dictate, 20 from 20 upwards as to how many days you get holidays in a year. As I said, I know companies that give 28, 25, and 27 days. Sorry, 25 and 27 days. Statutory requirement is 20 working days. I think it's still increased to 21. So, you've got that in hand. There's some other perks as well. But they're away from the forklift itself. Like the advantages of being a forklift driver, for some drivers, simply being behind the wheel and contributing to the company's success is part of what makes the job worthwhile and enjoyable. For a packer, a typical day is a rewarding experience. The important thing about operating forklifts is that it's easy to use and it helps with heavy palletized items. But it's all about being in control, literally, of your career, right? For some people, they are much happier being on a forklift. Others want to work the way up, and look at different areas of employment. Certification is an important piece of the puzzle for anyone looking to become a forklift driver, right? Companies will not hire a forklift driver if they are not certified. In fact, many list certification as part of their official forklift operator description. So if you don't have any proper training and certification, it will limit your chances of finding a good paying job at the warehouse, stockyard, or factory or other employers. By the end of this course, you will have your 3 forklift licenses. You will have first aid, right? As in first aid responder, which is a 3-day course, and you'll have experience on CV writing, right? You'll also have the basic fundamentals that I'm giving you around forklift operations and warehousing. Is that clear? Okay. Any questions up to what we've discussed so far?
If you go to like foreign countries and stuff, is the overlap pretty common with what we'd be dealing with in Ireland? Like,
yeah,
say America,
yeah.
Australia, Canada, places like that.
Yeah, most of them operate under the same type of safety, right? Safety first. With regards to the machines, in some places, like let's put it this way, the machines you're going to be operating on and trained on, they're probably 2.5 to 3 ton operation machines, or they not the counterbalance, that could be 2.5 ton, but the reach truck could be 1.5 tons. The power pallet truck will be less, right? So if you're going abroad or into port work, you would probably be working much heavier machines. So you may have to upgrade your certification. But throughout Europe, and throughout the States and the likes of Canada and Australia, yes, if you bring your certificate with you, what they would normally do is give you an assessment, and then they send you for an assessment. And then what they'll do is they will give you the equivalent of what your certificate trained you up for. Like your certificate will definitely say the size of forklift that you've been trained on, and the assessment you've passed is on that size of forklift. So when you go abroad or when you go anywhere else, you'll have your credit card type license, right? You'll hand that in, and they will assess you on that level, and they'll hand you back the equivalent in their state as to what the equivalent license is for what you're bringing with you. Okay. Now, if they need to upgrade you, again, they have to give you training, and then they will give you they do an assessment then, and then they give you the license for the bigger trucks. Down the docks, you could have 28 ton forklifts, 20 ton forklifts, so you can't go in with a 2.5 ton license and expect to be able to operate. You probably could operate it, but you wouldn't be insured to operate it. You wouldn't have the training. But yes, it's a standard across the globe as to what's acceptable of a forklift operator. All right. And there's a reason why companies won't operate or won't employ a driver without certification. And when you think about it, it has to do with safety. A certified operator is more likely to follow rules and not get into collisions, right? And that's anywhere across the globe. You learn the trade and you protect that trade by ensuring you're not involved in incidents. The HSA, I've seen it, the HSA has issued major fines if companies don't have certain rules in place. Without certified employees on your staff, the HSA can come in and shut down a company. Actually shut it down there and then. No forewarning, no 3 days or 2 days grace. They pull the shutters down then if your people are operating forklifts without being trained and licensed. Businesses are looking for forklift drivers, but they're also looking for you to be certified. And now you have that opportunity now to get yourself certified. And believe me, there's not one of you will come out in 4 weeks' time and tell me that you're not certified. You will all definitely get certification out of this program. All of you will get it. Because the lads will keep at you till you get it right. And until you get it to, your certification acceptance. All right. Once you have your certification, well, then you can work anywhere. That needs, obviously, forklift operators. Right from a shipyard right up to, a warehouse or a massive industrial business. There's always openings for forklift operators. This is different. Different companies have different requirements. And you can match them by having a 2.5, 3 ton up, or even a 1.5 ton forklift certification. You're guaranteed. Your foot's already in the door. You just need to sell yourself as an individual then, right? To say that you're competent and to say that you have the ability to work as a team or independently. All right. The most commonly reported work tasks. Well, what are you expected to do? Really, you're moving levers or controls that operate a lifting device, right? You're operating lift beams with swivel, hooks, hoists, or elevated platforms in order to load and unload, to transport and also to stack. That's really the work task. You could be driving a diesel or a gas truck or electric powered truck. All right. And you could be transporting, goods between loading, processing, storage, or unloading. Manually or mechanically load or unload materials from pallets, from skids, from platforms, or lifting devices, or other transport vehicles. You don't know till you get in there as to what it's going to be manually or it's going to be mechanically. But you probably have both. In any warehouse, you'd have both. You would have, the requirement to get off the forklift and move a pallet or move goods or reposition goods on a pallet or shrink wrap goods to the pallet and the boxes. Other tasks would be positioning lifting devices under, over, or around loaded pallets, skids, or boxes, and securing the material or products for transport to designated areas. There's also a requirement there for you to inspect the load for accuracy. Is it what it says on the paperwork? Are there 12 unopened boxes of, whatever whiskey on that pallet? Or is there 11 sealed boxes and 1 open box where there's 2 bottles getting out of it? That could be your responsibility to inspect the product and ensure that it's accurate as per the delivery docket. And then you've got to safely move that around the warehouse or facility to ensure a timely and complete delivery of it. Either to the store, as in the storage area, or to the goods, the pick and pack area, or to the goods hours area. And it's got to be done in a timely manner. You may have to bring your goods on a pallet to a weighing area, as in you may have to weigh the materials or products, and you may have to record that weight, onto a tag or a label or onto your tablet in order for your administration staff to give that weight out to the haulage company to say, well, this is the weight of the pallets, and there's 10 of them. So they're 1 ton pallets multiplied by 10, it's 10 ton you're collecting today. The other thing they might give is the measurements of the pallet, the width, the length, the height. That gives them the cube. Like all cube measurements is by 3. So, they may require the cube. A haulage company may say, well, what's the cube? What space do I need on my trailer for your goods? And it might be, 3 meter cube, might be 7 meter cube. But you could end up having to give that to them, to your admin staff, so as they can pass it on to the haulier. All right. And of course, again, routine maintenance checks on your vehicles. Cleaning them, lubricating them, recharging your batteries, or fueling, or replacing liquid gas, LPG. All right. And again, when you look at the type of work, entry to that, this, like I mentioned skills earlier on, but like if you're going into this distribution industry or the retailing industry, right? Well, or even the construction industry, you're going to need manual handling. You're going to need safe pass for construction. The reach truck, the counterbalance, and the power pallet, the license for each of them. The health and safety or first aid training, which you're getting. Excel or EPOSS, electronic point of sale, what do you call them? Instruments, or voice picking and packing. Like there's a lots of different types of technology that you could be using. Like you could have a headset on like this and a microphone off it. And the guys have already said, recorded in this, what you're picking and packing. And it'll tell you exactly where to go in the warehouse. And that's through a headphone set. Different folks, different strokes, different businesses, different technologies. Okay, so again, you need to have the knowledge of operating the likes of that. And if you don't worry about it. You will be trained up on the use of it. All right. Good coordination is important to you. You got to be able to assess weights and distances and work safely and steadily. You've got to get used to working repetitively. And that in itself requires good skills or good levels of concentration. You also need, believe it or not, a lot of patience. You need a lot of patience to deal with forklift driving and operations. And you also need an awareness of what is going on around your forklift. You and you alone are responsible for that forklift and how it's operated throughout the day, your work day. So, you've also got to have the ability to follow verbal and written instructions and follow them to the letters, to the letters of the law, as they say. Follow them as they have been written or verbalized to you. All right. But in order to get there, you've got to get your qualifications. That's the crucial first step to becoming a professional, a forklift operator. But then there's more to it than just that. Once you're fully trained and authorized to drive the forklifts, there are certain things, you can work on that separate the good drivers from the very best. And there are 10 key traits that I've written up, right, that will make you a top quality forklift driver. So you have a pen and pad there, I'm sure, that you would have got yesterday. You might want to write these traits down. All right. Have I got them on the board? Let me see. No, I haven't. No. Okay, so the first one would be practice. All right, sorry, just give me a second. I'll give you a chance to get your pen and paper. I just want to get a drop of water. 1 second, guys.
Так, дядька ушел, короче. Сейчас приедет. Куда ты пошел, в конце концов, полез? Я видео остановился. Короче, у нас Гоги упал. Короче, у меня видео отца. Сидел, дружба, даже, короче, сидел за планшетом, такой качался на стуле. Как улетел, короче, еще. Я тут, допустим, звук выключаю, а у него звук включенный был. И он такой, он такой, о, Джорди, с вами все окей, короче. Мы короче. Не заснул просто. После обеда не пришел, в Энтрео поехал. Что-то ему там надо отметиться. Кто-то наливает, кто-то булькает. А, это препод, звук не выключает. Ну, да. Ты давай там голый не бегай, блин. Я тоже буду тут перед твоими курсами бегать голым там. Девять человек в нашей группе. В полгруппе, а группа 18. На курсе 18 или в группе 9. Так, вернулся препод.
Now, the first one, as I said, is practice. Okay? If you want to be good at something, you have to practice. And it's exactly the same when you're operating a forklift. Keeping on top of your skills will give you confidence in your role and in your truck. So never ever underestimate how much of an impact a strong mindset can have on your abilities. So practice. Okay. Number 2 would be do your checks. Okay, do your checks. Like, as well as keeping yourself on top of your game, you should be looking after your truck in the same way. Never, ever take it for granted that the forklift you're about to operate is in full working order. Always, always check over your equipment before each and every use. And that'll make your life much easier, and it will avert unforeseen mechanical problems. Like, there are multiple benefits to regular forklift servicing and maintenance, from health and safety to improved workloads. A healthy forklift can make your life much, much simpler. Okay. Be proactive and not reactive. The first thing to remember is that prevention is better than a cure when it comes to maintaining your trucks. If a forklift breaks down, well then, the underlying issue obviously needs to be addressed. But by servicing and maintaining it and doing a visual inspection every day, like if you do that in the first place, you should be able to stop it from getting to that point. You never want your machinery to be down. You want it out. You don't want it, you want it out of action to a minimum time possible. Because as soon as it stops working, you'll be losing. Well, you won't be losing money. The company will be losing money. And that's particularly important if a truck is running around the clock or on multiple shifts across the day. So, obviously if it's working around the clock, more maintenance is required. It's working an awful lot harder. And parts are potentially going to wear down quicker. So depending on the amount of work your machine does, depends on the type of inspections that are needed on a regular basis. All right. There are, what would you call them? There are application-based considerations too. Like trucks working in hazardous environments or in dusty places, for example, they will need a little bit more TLC than those in less demanding workplaces. Something else to take into account, when assessing the forklift is the age of the machine. Like a newer truck is going to have far fewer issues and cost a lot less money to preserve than an old or used truck. Likewise, trucks with standard parts that are simple to replace are easier to maintain as spares can be sourced and changed far, far quicker. Like that's a proactive approach to monitoring and assessing your forklift. And it will always, allow you to spot issues early. And by doing that, you're minimizing the hassle of a breakdown. All right. Keeping a checklist then, to really stay on top of the performance of your trucks, I always recommend keeping a daily checklist. And that's considered best practice for fleet management, as the operator's manual for the truck will generally include a list for checking over the forklift. And having this physical daily check sheet that, any operator can refer to before getting onto a truck at the start of a shift allows you to tick the box, confirming everything is up to the standard. It also will ensure that if anything is wrong, it will be reported and fixed in good time. So, for instance, pre-operational checks on your tires, on the eye level, on the various other key components will also give a more accountability to drivers. Nobody wants to get blamed for something that was already damaged or broken. And they won't want to use any machine that is unsafe either. So having the tools to guarantee your own safety is key to being proactive. All right. Improving your workplace safety. Again, speaking of safeguards, properly maintaining the trucks can also have a positive repercussion on the overall safety of your work environment. If they think about it, driving around in unsafe vehicles will, inevitably lead to a workplace accident or staff injuries. So, we should be able to get behind the wheel of a safe and secure truck without having to worry about it leading to a disaster. Companies have lost their best forklift operators through accidents and injuries, even on a temporary basis. But it does have a detrimental impact on the output of business. Not to mention, people not want to work for a company that doesn't place importance on the quality of their equipment. So, protecting yourselves and other people within the workplace is not only the right thing to do for them, but it will also stop, insurance from shooting up and, keeping your operation on track. Keeping you guys not just safe, but genuinely happy and motivated should be the key for any company, the key focus for any company. You know, and believe it or not, that starts with the equipment that you are provided to do the job with. Right? It's you know, productivity at its best. Psychologically, you know, it's not, or if a driver likes his truck, he will be more invested in it and want to look after it. You know, no operator wants to drive a truck that they don't trust to work properly. You know, and that goes beyond ergonomics and comfort. Your fork truck should be kept in the best possible condition to make your job easier and to ensure that you don't need, you don't end up injured or out of action. You know, there are also personal costs to ignoring safety regulations. It is a big investment, right, to hire an efficient forklift operator. And, you know, it's not just from overheads, wages, and pension points of view, but training you guys to be the best at your jobs. That's the investment. And the return on that investment is you doing your job professionally. But all the costs are incurred by a company to get you to that point. You know, they pale in comparison to not providing adequate training in the first place. You know, there are scientific studies that would show that an operator changes steering wheel direction around 2,000 times an hour. That's a lot, but you don't realize it. You know, reach trucks themselves, they feature a mini steering wheel. You know, some of them have a floating armrest to provide you with relief during long shifts. And that helps to ensure maximum productivity control and, again, comfort for the driver. 75% of operators' body contact with the truck is through the seat. Hence, reach trucks should feature a state-of-the-art seat. Included in that should be an 18-degree tilt function to reduce neck and back strain when handling loads at high levels. Because you could imagine you're putting a pallet up onto the top shelf there. Yeah, look at your neck, your back, curvatures all over the place. So now what they have a lot of these reach trucks, again, reach trucks being the warehouse truck, they have the seat that'll tilt back, you know, there's an 18-degree tilt. And in order to further optimize comfort, the tilting backrest adapts conveniently to the weight of the operator for maximum comfort during shifts. It's also what we call a narrow egro backrest, right? And that's easier for the operator, obviously, you know, to turn the chest in the direction it's traveled. And that helps to reduce repetitive strain injuries. Some forklifts, as in that's the reach truck with the counterbalance, some forklifts will actually boast dynamic, what do they call it? A DCC, dynamic cornering control technology, right? And that allows high drive speed, but also automatically reduces the speed to a suitable level when cornering, right? For improved, again, operator safety. And that's especially useful if the operator needs to respond quickly to avoid an obstacle. Again, go back to the reach truck, there's a thing called ergo logic function, right? It's a multifunction control. Again, that fits perfectly in the operator's hand to reduce fatigue and improve performance. There's also a thing called mast tilt control, right? And again, it's known as the MTC. And again, that's there to increase safety. You know, while all the controls are placed for intuitive and simultaneous operations, this one ensures excellent mast stability for quick pallet handling, contributing to improved stacking performance and contributing to safety. Right, and then there's a thing called the Stability Support System, the SSS, right, and that helps operators maintain driving stability in numerous situations and environments. And of course, that's boosting your confidence in turn, improving your performance. So, like when you handle loads at high levels, there's a thing called soft motion, right? Which adapts the mast's tilt, the reach, and the side shift speed to maximize stability and safety. So, like, there's lots of things that will ensure your forklift operates properly, including ergonomics. The third thing on the priority list would be taking safety measures, right? So take safety measures. And, you know, it sounds obvious, but looking out for your own safety, as well as the people around you, is absolutely critical. So the third tip is take safety measures. Always stay aware of your surroundings. You know, not for a second do you take your eyes off your surroundings if you're moving that forklift. You should always think of other vehicles, movable materials, and, you know, workplace speed and height limitations. They should all be considered. Number 4 on the list would be reduce distractions. Now that's a very fine line to walk, right? But being alert to what's going on around you shouldn't come at the expense of your concentration. Whatever you do, don't get distracted and don't lose focus unnecessarily. As I said earlier, you're driving a big piece of machinery. That can obviously be dangerous if misused. So always pay attention to the task at hand. Number 5 is wear the right gear. Now, most jobs would have a company policy for workwear anyway, right? But it's always worth thinking about how you can be seen and how you can be safe. And at a minimum, this will likely include sturdy steel toe cap boots and a high-vis jacket or vest, as well as gloves, helmets, ear protectors, glasses, whatever is necessary, or eye protection units, right? So make sure you wear the right gear. Make sure if you're given it, wear it. Number 6, know your truck's capabilities. It's very, very important. Make sure you're aware of a particular truck's capabilities, what it can and what it can't do. For example, don't overload the weight or drive it where it shouldn't go. And if you're not sure your truck can lift a certain amount, or if it should be in a particular environment, well then, question it. Your colleagues, your supervisors, would much rather you ask them first instead of causing an incident or an accident. So number 6, know your truck's capabilities. Number 7 would be to communicate. Communication, so communicate. A forklift might only have one driver at a time, but you're still part of a larger team. Regular communication between you and your workmates will reduce accidents and it'll make for a more efficient operation. Let relevant people know, right, what you're doing, or if you need help. Others will soon follow your lead and do the same. And by doing that, they're making a habit for everybody at your workplace to follow. Number 8 is plan ahead. plan ahead, organize your day so you are well prepared. Having a general idea of what is on your agenda for the up and coming shift, or for the week ahead, will make things easier for yourself and for everybody else in your team. So number 8 is plan ahead. Number 9 is what I call adaptability, being adaptable. Now, that might seem to fly in the face of the last point, but you should also be flexible and be adaptable with your time. Because a busy workplace could change in an instant, right? You're loading trailers, and all of a sudden, a truck and trailer comes in with a prioritized load that must be brought into the warehouse, broken down, reassembled, and shipped out the same day. So you might be taking off your loading duties and put onto this other duty of unloading, breaking down, picking, packing, and sending it back out on the same day. So you have to be adaptable to the likes of that. You have to be ready to react or to change your schedule accordingly. Is that okay? Yeah. Number 10 is, above all, stay calm. Stay calm. Try to remain patient and calm in the workplace, because getting stressed out or panicking under pressure can and will lead to accidents. So please don't go rushing around or cutting corners at the expense of doing your job properly. Now, it's easy for me sitting here saying things like that. It's easier said than done in the heat of the moment, right? Which is why the previous 9 points are always worth bearing in mind. The more prepared and confident you are in your role, the more you will be able to handle whatever jobs come your way. All right? Any questions on those 10 traits? Everybody okay with that, yeah?
Just what was number 4 there again? I think I missed it.
I see number 4. What did we do? We won 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. 4 basically was the reduction in distractions. So reduce your distractions. Thanks. And what I meant by that, Patrick, was, it's, as I said then, it's a fine line to walk, but, being alert to what's going on around you should always, or shouldn't come at the expense of your concentration. So try not be distracted or to lose focus unnecessarily. Basically, that's what I mean by it. All right. Okay. Any questions on what we've done up to date? No problem, Patrick. Thank you. How are we doing? Are we okay? Yeah. Have you listened to enough of me for the day, or shall we keep going on? Jesus, lads, you're great for answering quick questions, huh? So, all right. Well, then I'm going to ask you a question. And, let's go left to right as I see it on the screen. Right. And Aaron, this isn't in alphabetical order, by the way. It's just left to right as I see it on the screen. What makes a good forklift operator? Aaron, can you answer that for me? What do you see as what would make you a good forklift operator? Like, we know there's no magic formula, right? So yeah. What do you think would make you a good operating forklift operator?
Well, doing my checks in the morning if I was starting off, and always staying calm and always being productive and stuff like that, like.
Very good. Very good. So doing your walk around checks, being productive and staying calm. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Graham, what do you see as being, what makes you a good forklift operator? Graham, you're on.
Checking your vehicle before you get onto it.
Yeah.
Checking your surroundings.
Yeah.
Always being clued in, I was always watching. And that's it really, to be honest.
No, that's good enough. That's good enough. Again,
Yeah.
you say what we're doing here is we're back to the actual basics when you think about it. Vehicle inspections, right? Checking your vehicle first thing in the morning, making sure it's safe, right? And then being as productive as you possibly can. Keeping an eye on your surroundings so you're protecting yourself and others. So you're bang on. That's excellent. Mark, what do you think?
Making sure the forklift is in good condition, getting through your orders promptly and making sure they get to the right places, and keeping everybody safe while you do it.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good. Patrick, what do you think?
For what? For one out of 10, is it?
No. What makes a good forklift driver?
Practice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Practice. Know what your machine is capable of. If it's going to be too heavy, just if you know the weight of what you're lifting, and just be aware.
Yeah. Very good. Because the last thing you want is to lift too heavy. You're in a 1.5 ton counterbalance forklift. That means your counterbalance at the back is to the weight that's stamped on it. So if you lift a 2.5 ton pallet, what's going to happen? Your force is going to go down, and the back of your.
It's actually happened to me. I was lifting fertilizer pallets on kind of a smaller forklift, and it just snapped in two.
Jesus.
So that wasn't recently. That was a number of years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen.
Yeah, there was no training given. There was no certs or anything. It was just like there's the machine, drive it.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah,
okay, thanks, Patrick, for that. Eugene, what makes a good forklift operator?
I think good forklift operator should think one step ahead, because this is the kind of job that you need to be concentrated, because it's danger to be distracted.
Very good. Very, very good. That's a good one. One step ahead, not being distracted. Excellent. Well done. Yuri, is it Yuri? What do you reckon would make a good forklift operator?
I think forklift operator may be careful and have more practice.
Yeah, so plenty of practice of being careful while operating the forklift. Yeah. And then, Pretty, what do you think will make a good forklift driver?
Be active and good practice, good observation, and check forklift before shift start.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Okay, so obviously you've all got the gist of it now, right? You've all got and as you can see, like there's no magic formula. There's no secret technique to becoming a great forklift driver. It's all about doing the little things correctly, so they become more than just the sum of their parts. Okay? Forklifts are becoming better and better by the day, and although all trucks are fully equipped with the latest safety features, and are designed for maximum efficiency, working on your own skills and capabilities is still very, very important. Okay? It can be very easy to forget everything you've learned during your training and to slip into bad habits as you become more of an experienced driver. So, bear those 10 traits in mind. And honestly, you won't go too far wrong. It's like when we all became car drivers. We had to know all the rules of the road. We had to have the right knowledge of all the rules of the road signs. Keep 2 hands on the steering wheel at all times. Don't get distracted. Make sure you wear your seatbelt. Forklift driving is the very same. We all, through driving on the roads, we all developed our own bad habits. I know for a fact if I was to step back into, doing my test again today, I'd probably fail it. I have so many bad habits. And, half of us are probably the same. But you know, it's very easy to forget everything you learn. So just have a look over those 10 traits, right? And, you know, type them out, put them up somewhere, you know, and every now and again, you know, just have a look at them. They'll keep you, you know, they'll keep you right. You won't go too far wrong with them. All right. Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Any questions for me? Jeez, you're fierce quiet, lads. You're fierce quiet altogether. You know, and pretty, by the way, when I'm talking, when I say lads or guys, I mean both male and female. So don't be worrying about it. I'm not being derogative or anything like it.
No worries.
It's. I'll always say guys or lads. It's just it's a figure of speech. It doesn't mean males. It means both male and female. All right. Okay. So look, let's break for the day, and I'll see you all again in the morning at 9:30.
Yeah, Jerry.
Yes.
I won't be online now tomorrow. I'll be up in Dublin now for the day.
You're up in Dublin for the day tomorrow, man. Is it
Yeah.
on? Yeah, no worries. I just hang on a second, will you? I just want to have a chat with you for a second. Is everybody else okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be here tomorrow, yeah.
See you all in the morning at 9:30.
Thank you.
Take care. Enjoy the afternoon. Try and get out. I don't know what it's like down there. It's sunny here anyway. So try and get out and relax for the afternoon for an hour or two. All right. Take care for now. Aaron.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you.
Thanks. See you later. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Thanks, Tom.
Okay. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Right.
Bye.
See you in the morning at 9:30. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tom. Thank you. Pretty. See you in the morning 9:30.
Yep. See you.
All right. See you then. Take care. Thanks. Aaron, did you notify anybody of your day in Dublin tomorrow?
I did, yeah. I said it to him yesterday, to Jenny and stuff, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. No, it's just if you hadn't have, I could have marked you in. The fact that you have, I have to mark you out now.
Oh, all right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, there's
I'm
no
sorry.
problem that way. Like,
I'm
no,
sorry.